Democrats expected to push through a hike in the minimum wage when they take control of Congress officially in January. Now, it would be the first increase since 1997. The minimum wage then would jump from $5.15 an hour right now to $7.25 an hour over a 2-year span. That would be about a 40% jump. With us now is Andrew Puster. He is the CEO of CKE Restaurants that operate several chains, including Hardee's and Carl's Jr., businesses that would be directly impacted by such a hike. Sir, good to have you.
Hey, Neil, good to be here.
What do you make of this? It looks like it's a fait accompli. How does it affect you?
Well, it's, it will affect us kind of indirectly, like it will affect most of the rest of the country. We will raise our prices, as will everybody else that's affected by the increase in labor costs. That'll cause commodity prices or retail prices to go up, which could have an impact on inflation, which could have an impact on the Fed when they look down and say, well, we've got inflation, we have to control it, we need to raise interest rates. So you really end up with businesses being affected because business will slow down, but you also end up with the people you're trying to help, the people that earn minimum wage or low-paid workers, end up paying more for commodities, more for the things they buy at retail. And if they've got adjustable rate mortgages, they could end up paying more in their mortgages. So it's
so which would be more affected? I mean,
really.
I'm sorry, Carl, but which, Andrew, are more directly impacted of your businesses? The Carl's ones that are on the West Coast, where you have a lot of the minimum wage workers, or where?
Well, in California on the West Coast, our minimum wage is already at $6.50, and after the first of the year, it goes up above $7.50. Pursuant to an agreement that Governor Schwarzenegger reached with the Democratic legislature. In the Midwest and Southeast, we really don't have minimum wage, state minimum wages that are much higher than the federal rate, although some of them are higher, particularly after this election. Missouri went up and Arizona went up, a number of states went up. So it is more of an impact in the Midwest and Southeast than it is in California or the West.
But you're saying, if I'm hearing you right, that bottom line, that wage goes up, some workers are going to have to go out.
Well, what you really end up with is increases in prices. The way the workers end up going out is as business slows down, as inflation takes effect, as labor rates go up, as interest rates go up, and business slows down, we end up hiring fewer people. So it's more of a long-term hit. But it's a serious hit when you raise the rate a substantial amount. This is almost $2 an hour. That's a very substantial hit, and will have a substantial impact on pricing by us, by our competitors, by people in other retail fields. So it's a real danger. It's a real risk.
So maybe you have to rerun that Paris Hilton ad. Maybe you got to draw the interest all over again.
We just ran an ad with the Maloof brothers that you would love. I don't know if you had a chance to see it yet, but it's the same kind of thing. But really, it's kind of a political ruse. I mean, you can be a politician. You go out and say to people, look, we're raising your wages and your check's going to come in higher than it did before. But that really covers up the underlying story, which is you're also going to be paying more for products. You're going to be affecting the economy in general with inflationary trends. And you could even be impacting interest rates. So it's a risky game for the economy, but it's a pretty safe game for politicians, because I think most people don't look into it with the depth we're talking about here. They just look that their paychecks are bigger.
Prior times we've seen the hikes in the minimum wage. Democrats have argued that it's had very little deleterious effect on the economy. Do you buy that?
Well, I'm not actually opposed to raising the minimum wage. I think periodically it should be raised. I am opposed to raising it to the extent that the Democrats are talking about here. And I don't know that President Bush is going to sign off on an increase of that magnitude. But this is a big raise, and you can't say that raising the minimum wage never has a negative impact, so we're going to raise it, $5, $10 an hour. I mean, at some point, you have an effect, and $2 is a lot of money to raise the minimum wage in one fell swoop.
All right. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Neil.
Meanwhile, Democrats sweeping into power after a nasty campaign.